Dear ones, I am Archangel Michael. Continuing on our subject. So as I said yesterday, I'm going to start citing some facts from your story, so that you understand how it all happened, how everything happened over time. As I have been telling you, your planet is very old, and you have also been here for a long time. So, some facts that we can mention as important throughout this process. I'm going to go back to the time when you arrived here, and everything still resonated in the fifth dimension. I am speaking of you as beings of light. So you arrived here, in various parts of the planet. They concentrated more on the continent that you now call Europe, and on Asia, just so that you can organize your ideas. Because back then that wasn't how the Earth was divided. The Earth was like a large continent. But just so you can get your bearings, it was in that region that many people landed here. As you can see, there are some points on your planet, let's say, with a certain difficulty in understanding on your part. How was that built? How could we humans have built that? One of these great examples are the pyramids in Egypt. The degree of perfection and planning in the construction of those pyramids could never have been done by human beings, like you. Everything there was built with the power of the mind, because yes, you had the gift of levitation, and without the slightest effort. Don't think that lifting a block like that required a lot of strength, because it wasn't. The fact that you levitated the blocks was as natural as levitating a feather. As this is a gift that you do not have, it is difficult for you to understand, but it is a force inherent to each one of those beings, to each one of you, in which you have the ability to modify the structure of that object, and it becomes exactly what you want. Very good. The pyramids are a great example. And many others were being built around your planet. As people arrived here, they placed their characteristics, and their ways of staying, as a demarcation of territory, not by power, but for whoever arrived there. I knew that there was such a being, of such and such a race. At that time there was never this feeling of territorial power, of that's mine. No, because this is a low vibrational feeling. Only the beings accommodated themselves in a certain place and stayed there. They were not nomads who kept changing places. Of course, there have always been those more adventurous souls, who simply decided to explore the world, and walked the planet, looking for new interesting places to live. No, I tell you, where the pyramids are today, that was not desert, that was a place very abundant in water, flowers, fruits, whatever was needed from the earth. No one would be crazy to build such a monument for nothing, in a place where no one could live. At that time, the earth there was abundant, prosperity was abundant. So, many monuments that you have around the planet, like the statues at Stonehenge, the pyramids of the Incas and Mayans, and many other monuments that exist out there, that you cannot attribute how they were created. Very good. They all come from ancient civilizations, of highly developed civilizations. I can tell you, and your scientists already know, that the pyramids have an alignment, and they are all obviously portals. I never mentioned portals here. What are portals? Let's say that, for you to move between one dimension and another, it's not simply for you to decide, I'm going. I'm coming, and they go. No, it's not like that. There are certain points where there is a connection between dimensions. I already explained this to you here, and I will comment again. Today, why don't you see the ships that are around your planet? I already told you that dimensions are like layers. It's as if they were concentric layers that settle around the star, the planet. So the Earth, as I said, which was once in the fifth dimension, has this layer. It was not destroyed. You are here in the third dimension, but the fifth layer is there, just as it always has been. So I ask the question again, why don't you see the ships that are above your planet? That many think that everything we say is nonsense? Because they are in the other dimension. You can take a plane and go exactly where a ship is, without anything happening. What do you mean without anything happening? Because they have the power to be at higher frequencies, which are frequencies that do not clash with your frequency. Let's explain in a very simplistic way, that when one of the ships physically appears to you, it modifies its entire structure, to vibrate at the frequencies of this dimension. Then it becomes a third-dimensional ship, because it is there being seen by you. You can see something that is within the frequency range of this dimension. So you can see the ship. And can a fifth dimension ship transit here in the third, within the fifth dimension? No, because they are different frequencies. The ship resonates at a very high frequency, it cannot come here with the same frequency as it has there, because the frequency of the third dimension does not accept that frequency. It seems a little complicated, my brothers, but it's not. It's as if there are limits. In this dimension that you are in, there is a frequency limit. Everything that exceeds this limit is not seen here. Now if they can travel with the frequency they have in here? Neither, they need to adapt to reach the frequency here, so that they can transit here in the third dimension. So my brothers, when we say that the beings of light that are around you are making an immense effort to remain there on the surface of the earth, it is not for nothing. They also had to undergo some type of transformation, to remain invisible, even there in the third dimension, because they are fifth, sixth, seventh bodies, no matter what dimension they come from, and they are here on the surface of the planet, in a way that you cannot see them, because they can do it. They have the necessary technology and, let's say, the power to adapt to the environment. This happens with beings, not with ships. Ships must be fully within frequency, unless they are camouflaged. That's different. It's a topic for later. But back to the beginning of what I was talking about. So, many monuments, many brands, many things that appeared, on your planet, were these beings of very high vibration, who arrived and did things here. And each of these monuments is a portal to higher dimensions, to other dimensions. So that's where beings arrive, beings leave, it's like an exit and entry door, for your planet, for those who come from other dimensions. So, in all these places there are very powerful portals, which of course, with the shielding that was created, these portals practically became extinct, because they could not pass beyond the shielding. The people were developing, a lot was happening, until the invasions occurred. You have gone through many changes. Remember, I'm talking about the first stage, when there was the first invasion, in which the people of Atlantis and Lemuria were affected. Gaia made the first radical change. It was where many continents appeared. What is said, and has already been discovered by scientists, is true. What you call Africa today was part of the American continent, which is today the American continent. And the Earth was transformed. Lemuria and Atlantis succumbed, and the new continents were created. The people separated, because until then everyone was on a single continent. Of course, this was a big milestone for Gaia, it was a way for Gaia to try to end all that imbalance. Very good. A new era has begun. New beings arrived here, both beings of light and the beings that are there today, they were, because they had practically already been defeated from the planet. I didn't say removed yet, because there is still a long way to go. Continuing. So your planet suffered some eons of difficulties, because precisely. Remember that I told you that when souls arrive, they do not arrive in physical form, they arrive as spirits, and go through all the adversities until they reach the third dimension. So that's how it happened. Many souls were born here. They were the first inhabitants of this planet, those very primitive ones, who you know in its history, and which were developing. Some animals that were here were the primitive animals of this planet, which you call the Jurassic era. Yes, the dinosaurs. These were the animals planned for this planet. Everything lived in balance. And in the midst of this time, dragons also reigned. Many with their mouths open. No, dragons are not beings from mythology, they existed, and I mean they still exist, just in other places. But dragons are not evil beings, as you were led to believe. They have always been combative beings, beings who maintained order, beings with the power you know, ready to maintain order anywhere. Then you will ask yourself, but all the animals that that have ever existed on the planet are found in fossils. Why not? No one has ever found a fossil of a dragon. The answer is very simple. Because dragons are not just incarnated beings, like you, Earthlings, like the Pleiadians, like the Arcturians, like any incarnated being, and like any animal. No, dragons are beings of light. They are beings that have a different structure. So they leave no tracks, no bones, no wings, wherever they go. They are part of the heavenly army. Very good. So this era was an era of balance. There were many animals here on your planet, including dragons. Very good. The earth has gone through many, many moments of change. Those animals, in the way they existed, would not work together with humans. The idea was to populate the planet, but humans were being attacked by these animals, practically being decimated, because they were immense animals, in which humans were in no position to confront them. I'm not going to explain here what happened or didn't happen. The earth suffered a great shock, precisely for this entire structure to be modified, that all these animals would become extinct. Many will ask themselves, but hasn't it been seen that animals are not compatible with man? Remember, my brothers, everything is learning. The beings that incarnated here were not able to survive there, and among the choice of our Father or Mother God, what was his greatest choice? Allow man here to develop, the earthling man. And what I can tell you is that animals don't. I'm going to ask you a question, considering the amount of animals there were on the planet, did you find the bones of all of them? Have you found thousands and thousands and thousands of these animals in your archaeological searches? Of course not, because the vast majority were removed from here, and they are living on other planets, and other stars, peacefully. Those who remained here, who were unable to be rescued, were left as a mark for your story, so that you could understand what happened. But there was no slaughter of animals like you are imagining. They were transported to another star, and new animals arrived here. Very good. Then time passed, animals multiplying, and the planet was being populated. You were already in a more advanced, much more recent era, when the beings of light arrived here. If it's a little confusing, it's because I mixed up the eras. This all happened before the beings of light arrived here. It was in very remote times on your planet, when the first earthlings began to arrive here, started to evolve here. Very good. As time passed, the first advanced beings arrived, and then our history returned to where we were. You were invaded, and these people who arrived here behaved completely outside the normal path of light, and many events were happening. Many cities succumbed, all by the force of light. Remember, the beings of light were still here and still had their powers, and they knew exactly how to keep the balance, that balance, which I say there has always been. So many events, which were supposedly caused by the planet, by nature, yes, they were caused by nature, but through a greater force, so that evil was dominated. Then you will ask, but is it justified for so many people to die? Then I will answer you, how does evolution happen? People have choices. Everything is the consequence of choices. Those people chose that. So they couldn't stay that way, they had to be removed from the middle. So it justifies killing for the light. The question is great. We beings of light do not kill anyone. This act of eliminating clothing is not killing, for us. You have to start dissociating one thing from the other. We just took off the human clothing, to show that soul that it was on the wrong path, for it to evolve. But remember, if she was there at that moment of what happened, it was because it was her choice. And every action has a reaction. This is what I say, I have said it many times, and I will say it until the end, you all have a choice, go to the train, or go to the tram. Am I putting you on the bandwagon? No, I'm not putting anyone on the bandwagon. Whoever wants to go to the tram. So the choice is yours. The choice is yours. Not ours. There is a choice. And if it is for the good of the light, it will be done, but remember, the word kill, which is propagated so much in your world, is taking off human clothing, not erasing the soul. So this was very widespread among you, that killing another is unacceptable. Really. When you take off your clothes, you humans, take off another brother's clothes, this is not acceptable. Why do you have the power to do this? Who are you to take off that brother's clothes? Who are you? What will you be doing for that brother's soul? Anything. You will simply leave a lost soul, who will have to be supported, who will have to be guided, because they took off her clothes without her noticing. So this is a slightly more complicated subject, and a little more delicate to address. But whenever it was necessary for the light to prevail, we, beings of light, took off your clothes, so that you, as souls, evolve, to show you souls what you have done. So let's change that word, it's not killing. We didn't kill anyone, we just take off the clothes that the soul is living, wearing at that moment, so that she realizes the harm she was doing. This we do. Many of you understand this as killing. There is no other way for me to explain it. There are many phenomena that happen on your planet, prepared exactly to remove the human clothing from many people, at the same time. This is not a Gaia thing, this is not a natural thing. Each soul that was there was at the right time, and at the right time, in the right place, it wasn't there for nothing. This is what happens. If you have never stopped to think, stop now and think. Ah, but if that's the case, why don't you just get all the dark people out of here? I, at no point, said that things happen anyway. Things are planned, things are very well planned. And I've already told you here, it's as if you were living in a minefield today, in which any disastrous action we take, you are attacked and injured. That's why we can't take any action yet. But all this is being done. We need to eliminate all these weapons, and then act exactly like this, removing everyone from here. Who said we won't do this? So throughout your eras, you can see that from time to time, Gaia did something to clean up the planet. What was the flood? What do you call a flood? It was a great movement of continents made by Gaia. Some continents rose, other continents fell, and it rearranged itself. How many people died there? So my brothers, the choices are there. Always the choices. Then many may ask, ah, but did everyone who was there, who died in the flood, all vibrate evil? We can say yes, that they were all contaminated. So at that time there was still no armor. No, there wasn't, everything was still under our control. He had greater control over the planet. And why did you allow these dark people to come here and take over everything? I already said, this planet has become a school planet. So, we couldn't just get them out of here. They would have to stay here and continue with everything they brought, and you living together, in balance, so that there would be the evolution of all the souls that were here. I know that for many of you it is difficult to understand, because sometimes we act, sometimes we don't act, sometimes we make decisions, sometimes we don't. I understand it's complicated. But I also said this here, we never abandon you. We can say that the connections became a little more difficult after the shielding, but you were never abandoned. We always found a way to have the right person, in the right place, to start something. They are strong, but not that strong. We also have our weapons. Everything that happened here was only allowed to remain, because the planet became a school planet, in which several spirits, several souls from other stars, from other planets, came here to live in this dimension, to learn their lesson, the lessons. Well, for today I'll leave you with these thoughts. There's a lot of information in today's video to get you thinking. Analyze every word I said. Don't go around making decisions or understanding what you want to understand. Careful. Everything here has to be very well understood. I am Archangel Michael. And I'm here, ready, to help you, even to answer those questions. Just call me, and I will clear each of your minds.